This is the Investor Connect podcast program. I'm Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of this show in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, family offices, private equity, and many other investors for early stage and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Interested in raising funding for your startup? For your next fundraise, consider Tin Capital's Syndicate Platform, an online portal using a special purpose vehicle. The Syndicate Platform allows for online investment and access to over 12,000 accredited investors. Log into the Tin Capital Syndicate Platform to find your next investment. To learn more, go to tincapital.group/SPV. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today we're here with Lucas Caneda, Global Team Lead and Director at Uniqorn Incubator. Uniqorn Incubator is the largest rural incubator accelerator of its kind in the world. Uniqorn features an eclectic team of seasoned professionals with a proven track record in taking technology startups from inception all the way to exit. Lucas, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Hall. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great. So tell us more about your background before joining the incubator.
Well, in terms of background, I'm from Argentina. There till I was 25. I came to France to fulfill my dream of becoming a professional rugby player, which I currently do too. So I do both things at the same time, which is an interesting thing to do. When I was home, I was studying engineering. When I came to France, I couldn't continue. So I studying online management, which I did for like 3 years. And then I just come from entrepreneur background, I would say. My dad has his own company. My mom was always doing something. So did I. When I was young, I funded a catering company when I was 18, which I managed for like 7 years. Then with my wife, we funded a shoe shop back home too. And then when I came here to play rugby, well, that stopped for a bit, but eventually it started to come back and see how I could do something more and not just rugby, right? And that's how I met Dom, our founder at Uniqorn, and that's how we started to work together. And we've actually funded a company together and with a couple of other investors in the past 2 months that's called Challenger X. So yeah, pretty much nice adventure, nice challenges, and that's how I got here, and that's where we're going.
Great. Well, tell us more about the incubator itself. What type of startups does it focus on, and what does it offer them?
Sure. So first thing we do only tech companies. That's our first filter. And then we come from the digital marketing space and the investor relationship. So that's our main focus when we work with our clients. On the marketing space, we do a lot of article syndication, SEO, ASO. Today, we currently own more than 5,000 keywords ranked number 1, for instance, on the App Store and the iOS. So those are the tools that we leverage for our clients' purposes. And then I would like to tell you about what do we think a startup is, because we take it the American way. So for us, a startup is actually someone with a proof of concept with a couple clients, and that they have already convinced someone to invest into the company, even if the amount is not big. We try to ask for that, since it's very important for them to be able to convince someone, in this case, someone they're close to, because then they need to convince ourselves to invest in what they're doing and to participate into these common objectives. If they haven't managed to do so with their parents, their friends, it's going to be a lot harder to convince ourselves.
Great. Let's talk about the state of startup investing itself. How do you see the industry evolving these days?
Well, some of the researches that we've seen lately is that whenever there's fundraise, at least 50% of that is spent on marketing. I think it's just growing, and there's lots of interest for what we do, and there's a lot to work on. And then if we go more to the funding, I think there's a couple sectors that are, I'd say, thriving or expanding a lot more. We ourselves, we do like them very much. And that would be the DeFi sector, the decentralized finance. I think there's everything around tokenization today. You can see it on the news every single day. There's something going on. So yeah, in that sense, I don't think it's anywhere stopping, but actually quite the opposite. It's moving pretty fast and moving forward.
It seems like there's a lot of funding out there available. The stock market's all-time high, interest rates are zero, money's everywhere. What kind of impact do you see it having on the startup with their fundraise with that much money flowing out there?
I do think that we always need to keep in mind that you need to have good fundamentals to get those fundings. It's not that because there's money available, you can just try to any startup and just ask for money and that you'll get it. You need to be conscious enough that running a startup, it's very risky and that you need to lower that risk as much as you can in order to provide a good opportunity, a good ROI, which every investor is looking for. And yeah, have those things in mind before you deep into any sector, any market without actually knowing it and doing your research. We've seen lots of startups going bankrupt after a while because they just have that feeling that money is free, but you need to perform too. So just do your homework before you actually get started.
Great. And so we have quite a few investors on the show as well listening. And what's your advice for people investing in the early stage companies? What do you tell them to do before they write that first check?
Well, I won't really tell them what to do. I could tell you what we do ourselves internally because we deal with startups every single day. And there's a couple of things that we always look for. So the first thing is we look for passion. We look for that internal flame whenever we are dealing with our CEO or a funder, because we're not here to do the work for them, but we're actually here to go with them in the same direction and help them out. So if you're not willing to do the job yourself, we're not going to do it for you. And if the guy you're dealing with, it's actually very passionate about what he does, that shows a lot of things that comes with that, and that it will just lower the risk, right? So what I like to say is to create your own luck or probability on your side. So try reduce the risk of investment as much as you can. There's certain ways to do that. Everyone knows best what they're looking for. But yeah, try to find someone who is very passionate about what he does, is not afraid of working, because at the beginning, every startup needs hours of work. So try to find someone that is willing to put aside his personal thoughts and is willing to actually get his hands dirty on that sense, get his hands into work. So a lot of effort is required, and that's usually the people you'd like to work with.
That's great. And so what are the challenges in running an incubator that you have to overcome to make your startup successful? What are the challenges you deal with on a regular basis?
Well, we had a couple, and we try to just learn from those and try and get like a better model. One of the things that we do ourselves is that we don't move a finger. We don't perform before we actually get paid. This was a choice at the beginning because, we've all got burnt and had some people not paying and whatnot. So we tried to avoid that. And what it meant is that we actually kept our best clients and the rest decided not to work with us anymore. And we are a lot more picky today. We think we have that right, or we'd rather not work with anyone. We'd rather choose the people that we work with. We also don't like to waste our time or our clients' time. So if there's not a good connection, if we are not certain about the added value that we can bring to their company, we just decide not to work together because we respect what we do and what they do. There's no point in just wasting ourselves in time if there's not going to be an added value that we can bring.
So tell us more about the incubator and how you fit into the overall landscape. You're fairly unique compared to others, and in particular, you take companies from startup all the way to exit. That's pretty unusual. Can you tell us more about how it works?
Yes, what we do and what we think is that each company is at a different position and they need different things. So what we always try to understand is where are they standing, what are their objectives, and where do they want to get? And after that, we ask ourselves a quick important question. That is, what are we going to do for them or with them? That's actually going to add a lot of added value, and it's going to help them reach those objectives. We need to be certain that question has a good answer before we invest ourselves into the journey. We do like to invest at the companies that we are working with. So part of the agreement usually is a bit of shares. So we take part into the cap table of the company because that gives us the energy, and it just makes us work together with the company a lot better because we are up for the same and we want the same things. Usually what we intend to do, and whenever we decide the stage and we decide what we can do, we just craft customized proposals for each of our clients. We don't have like models you can apply online or something like that. We just like to speak to our clients a couple of times, identify if we really want to work with them. There's a good connection. And then according to what they're looking for and according to what stage they're in, we can just craft and come up with a good agreement that can benefit both parts. Because in every relationship, you need to have a win-win situation for that to be lasting and a good relationship. So that's a bit of what we are and what we think.
So at the beginning, you mentioned that 50% of what Startup spent was on marketing. Are you providing a lot of support in the marketing area? And if so, how does that work?
Yeah, we do. One of the biggest things that we do is we invest in the company with media. So we run article syndication, customer acquisition campaigns, SEO, ASO. We do run lots of marketing campaigns for our clients, no matter what type of clients they are. There's always a way that you can leverage from that. So many of our clients, for instance, are actually public companies. They do have press releases to sort out, and you want those to be read, those to be found, and we can actually take care of that. So imagine you send out a press release. Well, we are in a position that allows us to have at least, 10 keywords ranked on Google News, for instance, in the next 30 minutes after one of our posts. And that's something that's very powerful to get your word spread, to get those eyeballs that you need.
That's great. So you stay with them the entire life cycle all the way to exit. Is that right?
Well, that usually depends on the client and the company. Sometimes once they go through an exit, they just contact us for specific campaigns, and that's perfectly fine. Some companies don't go public, which actually there are a lot that stay private because they decide that or because that's not what they're looking for. But you can also help them anyways. I mean, there's no need, always a necessity of going public to be successful. But yeah, again, one of the companies, for instance, that we incubated and accelerated in here, it's called Extra Applied. It's a company that we've been working with for the past 15 months from scratch, from the beginning. And we've been approved for listing, and it's actually listed in the CSC Canada since last Friday.
Great. You have some good exits there going on the markets. That's good to hear. In the last minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
I think with the audience that you have and the people would really like to know a bit more about our most recent company that's called Challenger X. It's a sports tech SaaS that we've built. Our proof of concept is our actual local rugby club that we've managed to work for the past year, which we started from what we thought was the beginning in terms of branding, in terms of marketing. And we quickly scaled up. For instance, on social media, we went from 1,500 followers into 140K last week. And we've worked through our sponsorship proposals. We rebuilt all our merch. Today we have more than 30 products that we are selling. We're selling online. We have at least 25 different selling points throughout the town and the region. And the idea of this proof of concept is to bring this problem solving, let's call it, to other clubs in the world. no matter what sport they are playing or no matter where they are, we can help them out. And there's a big focus on monetization because most of the amateur semi-professional teams are struggling with the same things. And monetization comes back to one of the main problems that they are all facing that we really want to help them out. So this company we funded 2 months ago, and in the next coming weeks, we expect to be listed in the Aquis Exchange in London. So we are currently running our IPO pre-listing. So yeah, I think there's a good connection with your audience in there.
That's great. Well, appreciate your joining that with us today. How best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Well, the best way would be through LinkedIn. So just Lucas Caneda, and that would be the best way.
Cool. We'll put that in the show notes and want to thank you for joining us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.